Yeah, so tapping into my journalism skills today because if you know me from way back, you should know that I wanted to be a journalist. So here I am tapping into my journalism skills today. And today I actually want to talk about decisions versus choice. So, decisions versus choice, right? And I just want to talk about like the difference between the two because they are different, right? So, a decision is it's a commitment. It's a it's a commitment you make after considering choices. It focuses on solely judgment and responsibility. So think judgment over responsibility, right? A decision is something that you have to make. It involves you thinking. It goes through a thought process. After you think about it, you tend to have to make an evaluation or an intention because a decision you have to decide to do something. So that's where the intention comes about, right? So judgment over responsibility. It leads to an action too or a direction. It's like where you gonna go. And if you're gonna go somewhere, of course that's an action. It involves you doing something. And it also when we think about decision making, it carries consequences, right? So kind of like you can decide, do you want to drink coffee because you need energy for the day, right? So that's a decision. So the decision is like in that option which you will commit to. Do I want to drink coffee today and why? Right? So that's a decision. You have to make a commitment to something. It's judgment over responsibility. It's going to lead you into an action to do something and it carries consequences because you have to think about what you're going to do and you have to be intentional about it, right? So, on the other hand, a choice. A choice is a set of options available to you. Okay, so options. It focuses on a selection before the action comes, before you actually do something. So it exists before the action, it exists before the doing because you're making a choice, right? It's sometimes when you make a choice, it's often really quick or informal. And when I say really quick, it means it can be made like something that you just reflect on, you just make the choice, right? It's kind of like you're making a choice between tea or coffee. So think about it as like a menu, right? So when you think about it like as a menu, it's like a menu presents choices, right? Oh, I have some examples here. So an orange versus a lemon. So the choice. So this is what's on the menu. If you walk into a juice bar and these are the only things on the menu. So you're making a choice. Do you want something with an orange, something with a lemon? A choice. When you make a decision, it's like, okay, I'm going to make the decision to just be an orange. You have to now be intentional about that decision that you made because now you have to change some things, again, judgment, responsibility. So you're going to be responsible for that decision that you made and whatever judgment comes with that. So a little bit different, right? So decisions versus choices. So if you're looking at a menu has choices, right? When you place your order to order an orange, that's your decision. I hope this is making sense. So, choices on the menu: orange, lemon. When you place an order to order orange, that's your decision. So, that's what you're going with, right? So, it's like choices versus decisions and how they affect you. So I wanted to just talk about that, just, a little bit and how when we make decisions, how it can affect us, right? And just the difference between making a choice versus like making a decision. I know that in life, in order for us to grow, in order for us to evolve and do all the things that we have to do, we have to make these big decisions. We also have to make choices, right? So you can make a choice to stay where you are and not evolve, not grow. And then you can make the decision to grow, but then that means you're aligning yourself with what you need in order to grow. So when you think about it, you're thinking about it as okay, a choice like, it's in that moment. It's nothing that you really have to reflect on because you have these options. You have an orange and a lemon. So you're making a choice. That's it. When you make a decision is are you going to decide to be an orange or a lemon? So you're choosing one or the other, which is why decisions and choices are so closely aligned. So I just wanted to drop this on here just to say, a lot of times when we have to make decisions, they make us so, so uncomfortable. And I strongly believe that if you don't make a decision to like grow and evolve in life, it's like you stay stuck. So to me, that's like you're stuck in the choices that you're making right then and there. And one of the reasons why it matters that some people often choose choices over decision is because choices keeps us comfortable. We can choose between an orange and a lemon all day, but when we have to make the decision if we want to use an orange or if we want to use a lemon, that's where it becomes so so difficult for us to choose. And a choice, sometimes you can use a choice to like just in the moment to set boundaries. But when you have to make a decision to set boundaries, it's like, okay, world stop, full stop. This is where it all ends. So a choice to set boundaries is just like it's almost like a temporary option, right? You're choosing in the moment because you have a choice to set boundaries or not to set boundaries. But when you have to make a decision to set boundaries for yourself in your life, it's like, okay, this is where it all ends. This is where I'm cutting off all the people that no longer serves me. It does not become a choice anymore. So again, we go back to that judgment and responsibility because they go hand in hand. So what you're going to do with a choice, okay, you're going to choose to set boundaries, but that, it's just a temporary thing. You're choosing to do that. When you make the decision to do that, to make the decision to set the boundaries, that's when you realize, oh, this person is acting that way and that person is acting that way because I chose to make that decision. So, not much of a big difference between choice and decision, but I hope that you get the point that I'm trying to make here. So, choice versus decision. So, choice is when you have a set of options that you can choose from. So, orange, lemon. Decision is when you have to make a decision to see what you want to do, which decision you're going to make, what are you committed to after considering your choices. Hope that makes sense to everyone. Love you. Bye.